Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is JaQil with KY Biz TV. We have a special guest in the building, Tyler Andrews, who's actually born and raised in Kentucky. Is that right?
That is right.
But he has been hustling, making moves, and found his way in Hollywood. And Tyler Andrews is now a Hollywood actor and the cinema star of This Christmas Chain, which is showing on Apple TV and Tubi. He's also a main character in All American Homecoming, which is showing on CW and Netflix. And his newest role, we cannot yet disclose. We will keep y'all in tune and keep y'all updated with that. But everybody, Tyler Andrews, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming on to KY Biz TV. And, what we're going to talk about today, this is Tyler Andrews, the 25-year-old Hollywood actor that literally was born in Kentucky, moved to Pennsylvania with nothing but $1 and a dream, took his vehicle all the way across to the West Coast, right? Went to Hollywood, said, I'm going to make it somehow. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but I'm going to make it. And in 7 months, under 7 months at that, not in 7, but under 7 months, picked up a star role. I'm excited to have you today, man.
Thanks for having me.
So today, what we're going to talk about, not only your journey, right? How you got to where you're at, but we want to talk about the business of Hollywood as well, and just give the people some motivation, right? Blueprint on how you got to where you're at. And then maybe some funny stories, maybe some not so funny stories, but it all got you to where you are today, right? So me and Tyler, we go way back. This is actually my brother-in-law. And I remember just seeing you from a youngin'. You always had the drive. You always had the motivation. You've always thought really big, and you've always taken action on it. So it's no surprise that he's here, today, accomplishing those goals. But we're actually just going to take it back. We're going to talk about the origin story. So let's start from the beginning, right? Because this is KY Biz TV, and we, like to interview people that have ties to Kentucky. So let's talk about the beginning, man. You're born in Kentucky. Let's just go back. When were you born? Where was you raised in Kentucky? And just talk about coming up, in the bluegrass.
So I was born and raised in Kentucky, 1999. In Fort Knox, Kentucky. My dad was in the military, so we were born on a military base for a little bit of my life, and then we moved to a small town called Ekron, Kentucky. It's where we had a farm and we raised geese, chickens, ducks, and we had our own garden. It was really a farm boy's life. I lived in a very small town, probably about a couple hundred people, so you knew everyone throughout the town, and it was kind of just a small town. Small life sort of lifestyle that I was living up until my father had retired from the military. And then we moved to Pennsylvania and sort of towards New Jersey, where my mom and my father were born. But yeah, up until I was 15 years old, I was just a small town kid, didn't really think of acting, didn't know what acting was, didn't watch many movies. I had no idea what the job acting, entailed. I had no idea, and I didn't have the aspirations to become an artist. And then we ended up moving to Pennsylvania, and that's when kind of the tide changed a little bit. Yeah, but more exposure, absolutely. Living up in the north, not being in such a small town, surrounded by, just union jobs, more than anything. Farmers, engineers, electricians, that sort of thing. That's all I knew my whole life. I didn't know anything about acting or artist or painting until I moved to Pennsylvania, and not until I really got into acting. Yeah.
Gotcha. And one thing we do want to say, shout out to all the veterans. I was actually born on Fort Knox as well. So we all thank you for your service. You're from Kentucky. You moved to Pennsylvania. There was really no aspirations on acting. So you moved to Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Now let's kind of fast forward. You go through middle school, you get to high school. When did acting start becoming something that you thought could be favorable in your life? And when did you start getting that interest?
So I went to college at Bloomsburg University. I played soccer. That was my life. I thought I was going to go to the MLS, or I was going to play overseas. And
you're damn good, by the way.
Thank you. But I played for so long, I think I lost the love of it. I really didn't love to play soccer anymore. It wasn't my dream that I figured out in college. So when I ended up leaving college, I got into sales a tiny bit. I was going to start getting my real estate license, and I started selling cars. And it wasn't until my friend told me, we were sitting down in his car one night, kind of just talking about life, didn't know what I wanted out of life. And he said, Tyler, you have the ability to like come up with these stories and they're not real, but you make us all believe that they're real. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he said, you should become an actor. And I was like, no, acting, nah, I don't do theater. Theater kids or what do they do? You know, it's not my life. But the next day I was at work and I just couldn't stop thinking about what he said, become an actor. And I looked up this school on the internet. I looked up acting schools near me, and I was near Philadelphia. It was about an hour and a half away from where I was living in Pennsylvania. And I saw this little school called Playhouse West Philadelphia, and this teacher, Tony Savant. And I saw a photo next of him next to Jeff Goldblum, who I had watched my whole life. And I thought, oh, he's some celebrity. And then I typed in to go in and watch a class. But I didn't know when I was really going to go up. He called me 10 minutes later and said, hey, come up tomorrow if you can. We have a class going on tomorrow night. You can come watch it. Or during the day. We have a class going on during the day. You can come watch it, and then we'll talk about the school and see if you're a right fit. Hung up the phone, quit my job, drove up to Philadelphia in about 3 hours. And then I went and saw the school, and I knew that was it. This is what I had to do. I never really committed fully to anything. I had committed to soccer for about 18 years of my life, fell out of love with it. So I just thought, this is what I'm going to latch on to no matter what. No matter what happens, I'll see this through until the end. And if I give up, I'll give up.
I think that's important, man. So you made a conscious decision and you burned the bridges.
Yeah.
There was no plan B. You literally quit your job. And the reason why I wanted to have you on a business podcast is because when we see actors, we think of entertainment, we see them on the TV, but it is a full business behind it, right? It's a skill set. It's working towards getting better every day. There's schooling, there's education involved. So I do want to hit on that as well, because it's not an overnight success. You know, we think that people go to Hollywood and they just have it set up, but no, that's not how it works, right? So kind of talk about that. What does the educational process look like for an actor when you're actually in school? And what are the skill sets that you have to obtain to finally break into Hollywood?
For me, it was getting into theater. It was when I went to Philadelphia, I found this school called Playhouse West Philadelphia, and it taught me that I need to train. This is like a sport. Just like soccer, there are certain skills that I'm going to have to learn in order to become a good actor or maybe a great actor later on in my life. So it was about learning how to be sensitive, learning how to actually listen to someone when they're speaking, because in life, you're always acting. When you go out into your job, when you say hello to your boss, you're putting on an act. It's not really who you are when you're at home or when you're by yourself in your car. So everyone's kind of acting, but you have to learn to listen to what people are saying. Because so much, someone will say something to you and you'll kind of just say hello back and you'll walk away. But if you really listen to what they're doing and the behavior behind what they're saying, you know, the real meaning behind it, because I can say, hey, JaQil, good morning. I can say, hey, JaQil, good morning. You know, it means two different things. And I had to learning about human behavior. What is the behavior in the scene? Because my teacher used to tell me a pound of behavior is worth 1,000 words. You can do the smallest thing and you don't have to say anything. And it became a big part of my acting. What's the subtext? What are you really saying when you say hello or when you say good night, honey, or I love you, or you're giving your vows? Do you want to give your vows to this woman? Do you really love her? And it was about sensitivity, opening myself up to the world, because so often in the world we are cold. We don't like to be sensitive. We say, don't cry, Jimmy. Don't cry, Jimmy. It's okay. But in the theater, you cry. You have to cry. You have to give over to the circumstances and believe them, because someone in the audience could have went through what you're acting on stage, and they might be there and they want a authentic representation of what happened to them. And then you find out that's the power of acting. It's not about you and feeling the emotions. It's a service. People are coming here. It's almost like therapy for people, because they might have lived through it. They might have experienced it, and they want to relive it through you. They want to see someone go all the way, because in normal life, you can't go all the way. You're restrained. You have restrictions at your job. You can't yell at people when you're angry. You have to repress your feelings. But in the theater and in acting, it's completely different. And that was really what I had to learn from the theater. Listen, be alive, feel the emotion and behavior, human behavior, psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a great point because acting, and like we just mentioned, we were talking off camera, sales, acting, it all comes in together.
It does.
You know, sales is every day we're selling ourselves, like you just mentioned.
Yep.
You know, and it's the intent behind the words, not necessarily what you say or how you know or what you say, but how you say it.
Yes.
And the intention behind it. So
Yeah.
with you coming from the heart, when you're acting from the heart and you're going in and you're saying, yo, I can make a real impact on this person watching it. And that's kind of the base where you stand from.
Yeah.
I think that's very honorable, one, but that's going to make you better, not only as an actor, but as a person, just having that intention in the back of your mind.
I
So,
think so.
yeah, absolutely. And that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. You go to school, you're learning new philosophies, you're learning a new way of thinking, your paradigm is getting shifted, and you're realizing, hey, I love to act, but I could make a living doing this, right? So let's kind of transfer into the actual business of Hollywood, right? What does it take to actually become a paid actor and make a living being on the big screen?
And it's a question that I thought about for so long. Though the first 5 years when I was acting, I didn't have aspirations to make money off of it. It was just to become a good actor. But I learned quickly when I moved to Los Angeles, and before I moved to Los Angeles, because thankfully I had a really great teacher at Playhouse West, and he ended up assisting me, giving me a referral to get an agent. And then I was looking into, okay, what does an agent do? And he had taught us some things about an agency, especially during COVID, because it was all online. And we were learning about that business side. And I think the most important thing an actor can do when they feel they are qualified to get in any room and not waste anyone's time, because if I would have started to try and get an agent before 5 years in, I don't think I would have been ready because I was still developing my skill set. I was trying to reach some sort of mastery, though I don't think I am. But I think it takes a long time. But though you have to feel like confident enough in yourself that, hey, I can go into any audition room. I'm going to feel confident that I can give my best and I can walk away with it without getting a job. And at that point, I did feel like that. And I have a great agent, Ryan Hayden at Ideal Talent Agency. I'd really give him a lot of credit because though as an actor, you have to focus on the business, your agent is going to assist you on it. He is or she is your right or left hand man because they're in your corner wanting you to work. So it was taking meetings with them and understanding that, okay, the best networking is not emailing people, it's doing great auditions because those are the people that you really want to have meetings with, but they're busy. They have a busy schedule. They are casting all the time. So the best thing you can do is not to try to request a meeting from them. And this is just my own opinion. Don't request a meeting from the casting director. Do a great dang audition because they will remember you. That's your meeting. You just took a 3-minute meeting with them and that was your audition scene. So as soon as I put that in my head, okay, I don't have to worry about emailing these people because they're going to see me through my agent. He's putting in the work. He's trying to get me seen. Let me make sure my skill set's ready so that when I get the opportunity, I'm not worried about getting the job, though I kind of believe all the time I'm going to get this. I feel like I'm right for it, but I'm willing to let it go. But I feel like I'm prepared enough where I can leave an impression. They won't forget me, so they'll call me back for another audition. That was the best business lesson that I learned. And really putting the pressure on how many auditions do you want to get, really trying to put your name out there and to do as many auditions as possible because it's a difficult business. There are millions of actors in the world and they all want what you have to be a working actor. And it's not about the money, but for most people, it's just, I just want my work to be recognized by someone and to collaborate because it's such a team business. It's everyone is a part of a team and we're trying to make one goal happen. And when you find that out, it's everyone's trying to do the same thing you want. They're all really putting in the work. There's a lot of really talented actors out there that are trying to be seen. So you just have to put in the work and believe that it's going to happen. And that's the business, is put in great auditions. Yeah. You'll meet people along the way, and that's when you can try to make connections and get their contact, maybe get a referral from them because they like you. But no one knows who you are. They might not have time to take a 10-minute meeting with Sarah from Oklahoma who wants to be an actress, even though she's talented. But if Sarah can get in the eyes of a talent agent with a couple scenes on a reel to showcase what she can do, she might have a chance. But she has to be persistent. She has to have a lot of faith. She has to believe in herself, and she has to accept failure and move on, because you're gonna just have the word no said to you so many more times than yes is said to you. I had at least 60 auditions through my agent before I booked anything, but all those people that I auditioned with, I tried to leave an impression to where some of them called me back later on.
That's such an amazing point. And me, I know nothing about the entertainment industry, nothing about acting, but listening to you describe all this, the singularity between that and business and sales and marketing, it goes hand in hand, because at the end of the day, we live in instant gratification world. Everyone wants it quick. No one wants to become great. Yeah. No one wants to put in the work behind closed doors at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when everyone else is sleeping. So that way, when you're in front of people, it looks effortless, right?
Yeah.
And you got to focus on mastery. And I think that's huge. So you saying that and just knowing that I accept failure, no means next opportunity. I'm really trying to get great because I love what I do, and I know the money will come later.
Yeah,
that's a big key point right there. So kind of diving in and talking about that, as far as like some of the things that you did prior to becoming a successful actor. Like, so for example, a little bit of my story. I've done all types of sales opportunities, door to door, B2B, knowing how to just walk into somewhere random cold, get their attention, right? Build that rapport, and then offer a solution, offer value to how you can solve a problem, and eventually get compensated from it. These are things that 5-6 years ago we were doing, that was mastering and acquiring skill sets for us to get to where we are today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, bro. Years back, you said that you wanted to work in New York as either a mortgage broker or on Wall Street or something like that.
I think it was a mortgage broker.
Yeah. This was years and years ago, and I was like, what do you think the first step is? And you were saying something along, well, I'd have to get licensed or do this and that. But I was like, before that, what's the first step? And he's like, what is it? I was like, dude, you got to go to New York. Just get in the presence, get around it, like see what they wear, see where they're working, see how they talk, how they walk. You know what I mean? And to see how you've transitioned to take, not saying that advice came from me, but how you
I remember that though.
Brave enough to actually just go across the country and get in the environment.
Yeah.
But even before that, what are some of the things that you were doing that you feel like, looking back in hindsight, oh, okay, I did this and I acquired the skills that's helped me to become a successful actor today?
Though my sales training, my sales life was short term, the resilience of being a car salesman, I don't like car salesmen when I go in there. They're trying to sell me a car, and I don't know if it's the best price. And you would get no all the time. You would have people come in with different attitudes all the time, and that's how you feel casting directors are. But really, they all want you to be great. But you feel as if, these people, they're just saying no to me. They don't like me. But deep down, they want you to be good. But as a car salesman, I remember I went door to door with you a couple of times, and we were selling solar. You have people looking at you as if you're crazy. You have a dream that I think I have the best solar, or I think I have the best talent, and you have to be boldly sort of naive of I think I got it. I think I'm the best at, selling solar. So buy it from me. Someone came earlier. You're still trying to work around it. You're finding your way no matter what. It builds so much resilience if you're in sales and if you become an actor, because it is selling. You are selling yourself, and not as if, you're betting someone to get you work, because you can go out there and make your own work. But when you're making your own work, you're selling the story. You want people to resonate with it. Life is a sale. Everything you do is a sale. My teacher used to say it all the time. When you come into class, the work you do on stage, you are selling yourself to us. You are auditioning for people in class if they want to work with you or not, if they're going to put you in your short film. And I think that's the sort of mentality that I became obsessed about. Okay, I'm going to sell myself to everyone. I'm going to act as if my teacher is Martin Scorsese, because that's who I want to be around. And I kind of visualized it. Yes, sales is the biggest thing, I think, in acting. Though sometimes you don't have to be aware of what you're doing, but if you're working on your craft, that is the sale. I find, I heard it from someone, I think it's true. Talent is a big reason why a lot of people are successful, but being a good person and being someone that people like to be around is another thing. Because you're going to spend 3 to 6 to a year with this person. Do we want to hang out with? Do we want to be his friend for 6 months? It's also, it's a sale. You're meeting them, being able to drop the nerves, even though everyone's nervous, and just be yourself, because that is the most powerful thing. Again, I keep on mentioning my theater teacher in Philadelphia, Tony Savant. He told me that, listen, your personality is the strongest asset, because no one is like you. It's one thing that no one else can do like you. Be yourself. So I started selling the industry on who I am. And if you don't like it, don't take it. But I think that's what at least helped me throughout the way of, like, okay, you don't have to like what I'm doing. I'm just being myself in these circumstances, all the way truthful. And maybe someone will resonate with it eventually.
They might not like it, but they gotta respect it.
They gotta respect it if they don't like it.
Gotta respect it. So coming in, trying to break into a Hollywood actor, like we mentioned, you drove from Pennsylvania all the way to the West Coast. Nothing but a vehicle and a dream. I really
nothing but a vehicle.
I don't know. I don't think you had anything necessarily mapped out, nothing intact and planned. You kind of had an idea, but it was more just chasing the vision. I know your story, but I'm gonna let you tell it because you'll tell it better than me. There was times where you're sleeping in the car, people breaking in to, living in Philadelphia, which is some of the treacherous places in America, and you're doing anything you need to do to make it happen, right? Talk about that. What are some of the biggest struggles leading up to before you've actually got to where you are today?
I did live in my car, and I did it willingly. I had a family, a great, supporting, beautiful family, as you know, that was about an hour and 45 minutes away out of Philadelphia. And I didn't have the time to drive close to 4 hours every single day to Philadelphia to try to rehearse and to go at the theater. It was a lot of money too, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice the time. And though I didn't have the money to buy an apartment, and my parents, I had to mention, did not want me to do this. They probably would have eventually bought me an apartment, but I didn't want them to do that either. I wanted to live in my car. I thought living in my car and doing that, and I did it for probably close to a year in total, a year and a half in total. It changed my life. It taught me to not spend money, to minimize my expenses, but also the only thing I could do was get out of my car and go act and go rehearse and go meditate and go read. That's when I started to meditate, because I was meditating on getting out of my car, but I wanted to do it by my own volition, by my own sort of, fight to get out of this struggle that I had put myself in, though I put myself in it so I wouldn't be away from the theater, because the theater was an hour and 45 minutes away every single day, back and forth. From the Lehigh Valley is where my parents were, and I just wanted to do it on my own. So I thought, okay, well, if I live in my car, I can take out my back seats. I can put in a bed. I can put in a little water system where I can always have water. I can shower at the gym. And that's what I did for close to a year and a half. I was sleeping in my car one time. Someone broke into it. So I had to drive home for a couple of days, get it fixed, get back to Philadelphia. Yeah, I really loved living in my car because it was a different experience that I don't think most people willingly want to live. There are people that like to backpack in their car, but they like to go around the country. They don't like to, sleep in the Walmart parking lot where, things can be dangerous. I wasn't staying in the most safe places either, because the most safe places have paid parking. I was minimalizing my expenses because I didn't have any money. And unfortunately, if you don't have an address, it's hard to get a job. So I was living off benefits and things like that. But it was the greatest time of my life. And all my friends knew I was living out of my car. And they thought, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. And I remember my friend telling me, Andrew Osmole said, if you can somehow make it as an actor and you were living in your car, that would be a great story to tell. And I said, oh, yeah, it would be. And, though I didn't do it for the story, it does make a great story because I was just so obsessed with acting. Living in my car was, I sleep in there, 6 hours a night? I wake up, I get out, I'm acting 90% of my life. So that made me so happy enough where living out of my car really became bliss. To go to my car every night and maybe watch a documentary in my car, people are watching me, I'm hooking up the sheets around them, got my personal AC. I so much enjoyed it. I think as an actor, most actors live sort of unique lives in that way, where it's just you have the ability to live on such a minimal expenses because it's so hard to make a living. It's so hard to make a living. So you build that sort of lifestyle where I can live with little to none, but I love what I do, so I could do it with no money.
It really makes a man out of you, when you gotta jump out of the plane with no parachute and figure it out on the way down. And I've been there as well, man, like living trash bags. Out of the trash bags, riding the SEPTA in Philly, and you just have to get up and find a way. And that's interesting that you talk about educating yourself via books, podcasts, meditation. Meditation, which we both share similar interests in. We're very, very spiritual.
You got me into it.
Yeah. I got him into it. So when he wins an award, y'all remember, I need to be in the speech. I got him into it.
You did get me into it because you were the one that really opened up my mind to other things in the world. Because before I'd started acting, you got me into sales. Because I just didn't know what to do. You took me under your wing. You took me to Philadelphia, and I remember specifically, and I didn't know what part of, but it wasn't a safe part of Philadelphia. But you were doing business to business, selling. I think it was
payment processing.
Yeah, payment processing. And that opened up my mind to, okay, there's other things out in the world that don't involve college, that don't involve a formal education. So if it wasn't for you, and I remember specifically, I probably would have never went to Philadelphia because you took me to Philadelphia. Was it Neo that we met? We met someone. They were opening up their sales place in that small little neighborhood in Philadelphia, and the lady below you had like a nail. She was in the nails. I remember that specifically in Philadelphia before I ever had the thought of acting. But because I was with you, I got into real estate, and I tried to go in the real estate and go in the car sales, and then I got into acting. But if I wouldn't have found that, I would have 1000% went back to college and probably went into history. I would have been a history teacher,
which is a great profession because to know your future, you have to know your past. But is that what you're passionate about, to make a living?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Right. It wasn't. So I'm really glad you found your way, man. And I you would have made it without me, but me being a little part of that journey, I appreciate that, man, for sure. And going into that, man, let's talk about the mindset, right? Because you talked about how actors have to live very frugal. They have to gain these skill sets. It's not an overnight process. The mindset shift, right? What are some of the greatest books, podcasts, quotes, just things that you've carried with you when you have these tough times, right? Because I'm sure there's times where you're like, you wake up, you're like, man, what am I doing? Can this work? Will this work? Am I playing myself? Am I thinking too big.
Yeah.
You know, what keeps the mindset sharp for you?
2 books, and I have to thank you for it. The 2 books that literally popped in my mind were The 10X Rule, Grant Cardone, and Grant Cardone, Become Obsessed or Be Average. The 10X Rule was about maximizing your goals. Look at what they are and times them by 10. And that is when I had the belief I think I deserve more out of my life. I don't know what it is, and I'm not worth it right now. But I think whatever my goals are, I think I can go bigger. Yeah. I can really go to the stars with whatever I want. Because if I go to the stars, maybe I'll get to the outer of the solar system. I might just reach them. But I'd rather shoot for that than just to get up to the redwood trees. It's not high enough.
Not to cut you off.
Yeah.
My brother JP, shout out to JP. He always used to say, if you shoot for the stars, if you fall, at least you land on a cloud.
Yeah.
But if you shoot for the sky and fall, that shit gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt.
So you gotta shoot big.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think, unrealistic goals work, but you have realistic goals to get you to the unrealistic goal. Because you can't just have an unrealistic goal and not do anything about it. It's like I want to become the best or a working actor, but there's many short-term goals that you need to meet in order to get there. Now, you might not have to do all of them to get to a place. Everyone's journey is different, but I think setting goals is a really important thing, especially for an actor. And I didn't set goals until, again, Tony Savant at Philadelphia, Playhouse West Philadelphia, sent us out this, make this goal exercise. And I said, oh, yeah, goals. What do I want to do with my life? I had never wrote down what do I want to do in the year. But then after reading Grant Cardone, the 10X rule, I started writing them down every day. And I found myself thinking about these goals on a daily basis. And then when I read Become Obsessed or Be Average, it was looking at obsession not as a bad thing, but obsession towards a good goal for something that will bring value to your life can't be wrong if you're not. There are many sacrifices. I mean, in any job to be very highly successful, there are sacrifices. Time away from your family, missing events, missing holidays, all these things will happen. But if your goal is for the value of not yourself, but other people as well, it's all worth it in the end. You might lose some time, but I think if you love it enough, it's worth it in the end. At least, it can be a little selfish as an actor because it is a very, you might not make money off of it, but you love to do it and you're willing to sacrifice time away from other things that you love as well because you feel like it's your calling. So it's a sort of thing you have to bounce back and forth from. But yeah, those 2 books and, Millionaire Success Habits, How to Read a Book was a great book. It's a book on how to actually interpret what you're reading. These are great books that my teacher in Philadelphia recommended, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And then the one book that was for acting was called The Fervent Years. It talked about the group theater. Most people don't know what the group theater is, and you're not supposed to know. But it was what this is how acting really originated. The acting that you know today, all the actors that you watch on TV really originated from these teachers. Harold Klarman, Lee Strasberg, and Cheryl Crawford started this group theater in New York, and it was about doing plays that service the time period that we're in. And so many great actors came out of this and were taught by these teachers. And that's where, one of those teachers, Sanford Meisner, ended up going to Los Angeles, started a school in New York. And my teacher in Philadelphia trained with him out in Los Angeles, learned how to teach that technique that he was teaching. But so many people, Lee Strasberg, Sanford Meisner, Stella Adler, the greats of our times who have taught De Niro and all the great actors that you would know. That's where it originated from. So when I found out how important this craft was to them, how serious they took it, and how their lives were dedicated by making no money but to tell these stories, I thought, okay, this is what this theater in Philadelphia is doing. We're trying to tell these same stories, and we're working in the same way that they're describing in this book. And then it felt so important. It felt like I disrespected acting on what it was for all my life because I didn't know how powerful it could be for most people. It's like church,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a spiritual component.
It is.
And, you get what you get out of life by who you compare yourself to and who you want to please. So you saying that is very ironic because you are the 5 people you hang around with to determine where you're at.
You are.
But that's why it's so important to, one, have a great circle that's strengthening your growth and helping you to grow. But also you have to have a mentor who you don't want to let down.
Yes.
You have to have that because it's going to force you out of your comfort zone and make you commit to what you said you're going to do.
Absolutely. An accountability coach.
Yeah. Accountability coach. And regardless of what industry you're in, so all of this is like full circle moment to me, man, because even you talking about us going to Philly and doing, I kind of forgot all that. Like sales is a blur, bro. It's like you have a good week, a good month, and then you're back to zero. So it's like you start over, you forget what happened. And I even think Jamie Foxx, for his first couple of years, he was doing door-to-door sales. And you hear a lot of great actors contribute sales and communication to where they're at. So I think this is really great that we're doing this on a business podcast because it's all business. It's all selling yourself. But, I know the work that you had to put in to get there and the skill sets that you had to equip yourself with and how you had to literally become a new person from the inside and out. But social media sees a different story. The world sees a different story. They think that, and let's talk about it, right? That's what goes viral. That's what everyone sees on social media. People are having to please certain gatekeepers. They're having to do things against their will to get certain roles, to make the money and do this and that, which there's probably some truth to that. I'm not in Hollywood like you are. You've been to the parties. You've been to the mansion parties. You know what's going on there. But I see when I look at you, someone who's putting in the work, who it did not happen overnight. You're ironing your skill sets. You're developing yourself better. So let's kind of talk about that to just clear the air, right? When you go to Hollywood and you're green, first day there. What are some of the things you're seeing at these parties? What are some of these things when you get into these rooms? Is there a requirement? Is there things you have to do? Or is it just, I got to be talented. I got to put in the work. Let's talk about that.
Though I am very green into this industry and I really try to stay away from going out. I don't think it's a good thing to go out and drink all the time. From, going to, maybe there's a lot of networking events. You can even find them online sometimes where, hey, producers are hanging out here, directors are going out here to this bar or this club, or, an Oscars after party. The actors that I meet on a daily basis are working their tail off. Everyone that I find in this industry, everyone that I work with in this industry or have worked with in the industry, worked their tail off. And I find it almost disrespectful to say, hey, listen, these people have taken an easy way out to get to where they are, because the people that I surround myself with on a daily basis, my close friends, who some are still chasing success just like I am. We're trying to get our foot really in the door, or some are bigger and better than me in the industry. They work their tail off, and don't let it deceive you that there's an easy way into any industry, that you can give a piece of yourself or give up your morals to try and reach some sort of success. Is it possible? I'm sure it is. Do I know anything about it? No, because I'd rather go the route that is less traveled, working really hard and having a chance, possibly. I kind of like the odds stacked against me. I like when people tell me no. When someone says, and though it rarely is, I have the best friends really in the world and the best family. I don't think I can ever tell a story when no one has said, Tyler, get out of this. You don't have what it takes. Everyone has been my biggest supporter, but I almost welcome for someone to say, you're not working hard. You sold out, because it makes me work harder, because I know this is my route. I'm not giving up anything to get to where I want to get by my own means, by my own free will. So yeah, I mean, you hear stories and things like that, but it's in one ear out the other, because for me, that's not important. Making a career, trying to do good stories, and making sure my family's well and safe is the only thing that's ever important to me in my life. And I don't think I could ever give up anything else for, that. Because that's what I got in this business for. And if I would ever have to be involved with anything else, I don't think I could do it because I just love to act. I love to tell stories and I love being around my family. And that's what I'm in it for. So yeah, I do think it's somewhat of these people work hard. These people work hard. Though you think people are big stars, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But it's not easy because it takes so much work. It takes so many years, and it takes maybe doing a bad movie, and you didn't think it was bad, but it knocks you off the pedestal a little bit. People don't think you're as good, so they might think that, oh, you got this big movie, you sold out. But it's like these people are putting in the work for many years. You just don't see it. It's not on social media. Social media is not a place to you know, say, hey, I'm up at 3 a.m., writing when no one else is doing it. Nah, post a photo at the red carpet, it's not that sort of culture. I see it's the tides are changing in some videos that I see, but I don't think it's that sort of culture. So you don't see the work behind it. And I think acting is really a scrutinized business because I don't think the world has access to the sort of history that's not taught in schools about this is a job. This is not mystical, magical play. You get lucky and it's a lottery. This is a job. Many jobs, lighting, sound, producing, executive producing, the showrunner, the person who's bringing your coffee. It's their job. And they want to bring coffee on the biggest sets. And then maybe not one day bring you scripts and rank up. So I think, that's the thing. I wish people understood that this is like any other industry, but it's closest to being in the NFL because it's that difficult to maintain that sort of success for so long because you're keeping up your skills, keeping up your skills.
Absolutely.
Denzel is a great example.
Yeah.
He's a craftsman.
Yeah.
He is a craftsman. You watch his first movie that he ever did to the movie we just watched the other night, Gladiator 2. He is a craftsman. He's been working on his crafts for so long. And he, like many other great actors, come from the theater. And if you want to know anything about theater, it don't pay that great. So you're not doing it for the money.
Right.
You're doing it because you want to be a great actor and it's worth it. I'm just a kid that's obsessed with stories. All the other talk at the clubs, you won't find me at a club, getting involved in anything that I don't want to do or anything that I think is not good for me or others. It's just the type of person I am. I think I'm raised by great, great, great parents who are very morally strong and smart, intelligent people who raised all of our family the right way. And there's many right ways. Not saying we raised this is the best way, but yeah, I thank my parents for making me into the person I am because I stick to my morals and I don't sacrifice them for anything. If I have to, I don't do it because you have free will in this world. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, especially in the world we live in with so many people. I think it's a great thing social media has brought, especially with women rights and things like that. You have the ability that everyone is going to keep you accountable. You can't get away with much in this world because you'll have to be accountable for it one day. And I think that's the power of, protecting, women who are having the Me Too moment or the Me Too movement and how women were being taken advantage of or people of color or anything like that. I think it's not right to hate or it's not right to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do. So we have those people out there and there's a great big actors out there who focus on that stuff. They speak about it. And I think that's really good because awareness will bring the security around making people accountable for it.
So you talked about how the entertainment industry, Hollywood, it's way more competitive than professional sports, NFL, NBA, which I totally agree with.
Close to it,
yeah. Probably by a long shot. I mean, you got people acting from all around the world that doesn't take a physical attribute to be a great actor. So I guarantee way more competitive than professional sports. So kind of two questions. Like you went to Hollywood and then within 7 months, you've had a lot of different roles, but you picked up the biggest role and like I said, we can't disclose it right now. Within 7 months, what is Tyler Andrews doing different from the pack that's gotten you to where you're at today, and then the day-to-day activities?
Yeah, I'll talk about the day-to-day when I was at Playhouse West, the theater that I trained at, because I think the skill, the talent, or the skills that I was able to learn there really helped me to become a working actor. It was I would wake up. I would go to. Oh, actually, let me back that. I would wake up. I'm just gonna go through my full day.
Absolutely.
I would wake up.
Around what time?
Yeah, I would wake up, and my teacher had recommended me reading this book called The Artist's Way. I think it's by Julia Cawthorne. And I would wake up and I would write 3 pages of open dialogue to myself, and I would end it by writing my goals. I would do it.
Sorry
Yep.
to cut you off. Around what time are you waking up? Because I think that's important
Mhm.
to replicate success, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was probably back and forth throughout over the years, but especially when I was at the theater, those 5 years, I was waking up no later than 7 a.m. I always thought
Really?
waking up, yeah, I always thought waking up early was great. As soon as the sun was rising, so you can have that morning sun. I'd wake up, I would do those 3 pages, I would meditate. I'd either do a Dr. Joe Dispenza sort of visualization meditation, or I would do some breath work, Wim Hof, yeah. And I would follow that up with cold water therapy, hit the gym, and then usually I'd read about 10 pages, and then I'll go to the theater to rehearse my scene that I was doing before class, get in class, do my scene in class, get some feedback, have a rehearsal right after it. We would go grab something to eat at a diner, and then rehearse right after that. Then usually there's a group rehearsal that we would do where everyone kind of gets together and we do some little bit of rehearsal process. And then at night, every night, just about every night, I watched a movie. That's thankfully kind of part of the job. I just studied movies for 5 years. I became a movie fiend. I love to watch movies. I can do it every day. And I like to end my days off with just watching a great film. Unless if I'm doing a film, try to stay focused with what I'm doing. But if I'm doing a film, I'm usually watching something that deals with it at night.
Similar to pretty much watching film. If you're an athlete,
yeah,
watch the opponent. Or if you're in a business, you want to know what your competitor is bringing to the table. So it's all market research at the end of the day.
It is. Yeah, you're sort of stealing ideas that you see and then making them into your own.